If you've ever wondered how to bring more energy, recognition, and engagement to your team and workplace, this conversation is for you. We're going to find out how fun is a strategic advantage, and it's available to every leader. Welcome to the Working Well podcast, the show that explores the rapidly changing landscape of work and well-being. Each episode, we dive into the hottest topics in leadership, business strategy, corporate culture, and the future of work. I'm your host, Tim Borys. Today, I'm joined by the incredible Joel Zeff. Expect great energy, laughter, and powerful leadership insights because Joel is a nationally recognized speaker, author, improvisational humorist, that's a mouthful, and he's a work culture expert who spent 25 years helping teams bring passion, performance, and most importantly, fun back to their work. He's worked with more than 2,500 organizations, bringing his signature blend of improv comedy and lessons on leadership, collaboration, communication, and change. His latest book, Make the Right Choice, Lead with Passion, Elevate Your Team, and Unleash Fun at Work, is a powerful reminder that joy and performance are not mutually exclusive. Let's dive in. All right, Joel, welcome to the Working Well podcast.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm excited about this conversation. You're the energy guy. You're known for bringing energy into a room, and so I'm looking forward to the energy in this conversation. As we get there,
I was going to say we set the bar high already.
Well, yeah, we did. What got you into this? You're engaging, entertaining, funny guy. What got you into this industry?
I started as a journalist. I was a newspaper reporter. That's what my degree is. And so I was focused on that. And I lost my job. Actually, the newspaper closed. The other paper bought the paper I was working for. So I had a lot of free time and a severance check. And usually that combination always leads to stand-up comedy. I'm like, well, what else would I do with my time? And so I started doing stand-up, and that led to improv. And so I was really focused on comedy, both stand-up and improv. And as the severance check ran out, I realized, one, I like to eat, and two, I need to pay my rent. So I got a job at a PR agency. And one of my clients was Texas Instruments. And they were having an executive retreat, and they knew I did improv on the weekends because by that time I had joined an improv comedy troupe, and we had a theater in downtown Dallas. So these two very different worlds, this improv comedy world and this very corporate PR world. And Texas Instruments said, hey, we know what you do on the weekends. We're having this executive retreat. Can you come and do some improv with us before dinner? And I thought, well, sure, why not? And another performer came with me. There was no plan. There was no grand scheme. There was no, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to speak at 2,500 events. And then I'm going to be on the Working Well podcast. There was no grand plan there. It was just go do some improv games with Texas Instruments. And they had fun and I had fun. And that's when the light bulb started flickering on.
Mm-hmm. I find it fascinating because I know a couple other people that are humorists, and they bring humor to the workplace as well. And it seems for so many executives, as an executive coach, I'm working with a lot of executives, and it's very serious, and they really take their job seriously, and the companies are serious, and it seems like such a polar opposite. So what is the value you're bringing to that? And I know, but there are a lot of people out there that are like, what's this improv guy going to talk to me about leadership and business?
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's really about kind of embracing that fun, using it as a fuel for our passion. When we're having fun, we're happy, we're energized, we're passionate, we care, and all that leads to success as a leader, as a teammate, as a communicator, as an innovator. And so improv is the tool that I use to talk about these choices, the choice to create opportunity for each other, to be supportive and positive, the choice to embrace change, to be open and flexible with change, the choice to help the people around us be successful, to be a great teammate and a great leader, the choice to be more present in the moment. These are all choices that improv teaches us. Improv is a teaching tool. It started in the late 1930s, early 1940s. A woman named Viola Spolin created improv to teach her students, her acting students. So it was always an education tool, and then through the years, it became an entertainment. It became, a show. People used it to entertain, but it in the original goal for improv was just as a teaching tool. And so I just kind of brought it back to uh, that original using it to talk about these choices. And we have fun when we play the improv games. The audience has fun. My audience volunteers have fun. And so you can see these choices being made through the foundation of fun. And even though all these, they're my clients, they're serious. They have a serious business and serious business goals. But if we don't have fun, where's the passion? Where's the energy? And that fun, there's a lot of myths that are associated with fun. We don't have time for fun. You mentioned we're serious. We're very serious. We can't have fun. We're very serious, right? That's a myth. A myth that that people don't want to have fun or that it excludes people. That's a myth. Fun is Fun means something different for all of us. Your fun, Tim, is going to be different than my fun, but it's really we both need to focus on what is fun about work, what is fun, what do we enjoy, and energizes us because that's going to lead to success.
Yeah, I love it. I came at it from the wellness, well being side, and so many of the clients I saw on that side of the industry were just again stressed out, burnt out. They're just like corporate zombies walking in,
Right.
and when you can bring this just energy and not even excitement, but just levity to the situation, there's people enjoy their jobs more if you can make them
Right.
smile.
And it's not always just fun, doesn't always just mean we got to sit around laughing.
Yeah, yeah.
Fun means making a big sale. Maybe that's your fun, or mentoring another team member. Or, I was at a meeting the other day and I was talking about one of my joys is helping connect people and help build their business. Like just referring someone, that brings me a lot of joy. That's fun for me to refer somebody, a client to another speaker, or refer the person that did my website to somebody because I believe in his business, or the person that did my video to refer him. That brings me joy, and that's fun. So fun isn't all about just laughter and we're having a great time and we're just rolling on the floor, just just eating donuts, right? I don't know why I brought donuts into it.
Because donuts are
Uh,
fun.
Donuts are fun. Who's not happy eating a donut? Look, answer me that. Who in the history of mankind has ever eaten a donut? I'm like, this is not fun at all.
It's the 10th and the
Except,
12th donut that's not fun.
yeah,
Sort of
well,
like
yeah, that's a
tequila.
different, totally different issue there. So I don't focus on that, but it's finding your fun and what energizes you. And for leaders, it's about, I think, creating responsibility and ownership, giving that ownership to their team. Because what happens when we have that responsibility and ownership? We start to care. If we won't care about it unless we have ownership, right? We don't care about things unless we have the responsibility and the ownership. So once we care, then all of a sudden that could turn into passion, because we don't have passion for something unless we care about it. We don't care about it unless we have ownership. And so all that is just a roadmap to success, and a roadmap to fueling that passion that that will always create better teammates and better leaders, better innovators. And I think it really fun is just a line, a thread that goes through all of it.
And you had mentioned some of the myths that come up, like the we don't have
Mhm.
time and we're just too serious
Yeah.
to have fun.
Yeah.
What are some of the other myths that you commonly see?
The myth about time, I think, is a big one. Like, we possibly couldn't have time to just have fun. And what isn't that just how dreary is that? Right? How awful does that sound? And the myth that that it excludes people. And I think fun is about including everyone. I think it's a team dynamic at one point, but also at one point it's also about the individual. What is fun for you is going to be a little bit different than fun for me. But if it's a team activity of fun, then it should be inclusive. It should include another myth we didn't mention that fun's offensive. Fun could offend people. And that's not fun. I don't know what are you doing that could possibly offend people? Then you've made bad choices there.
Yeah, leaders will
You
imagine
know,
like Andrew Dice Clay on stage or something like that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You just dated yourself there.
I know. I was trying to think of the most like raunchy, like offensive
I think,
comic I could think
yeah,
of, and that's who came to mind.
yeah. Hey, you just lost Gen X, the millennials, Gen Z.
They're all
They're like, what?
googling who's Andrew Dice
Yeah,
Clay.
you've hit the baby boomers. But I think those myths are, or fun is expensive.
Mm.
Fun costs money. Why would it cost money? I think there are lots of ideas to bring energy and passion to the team that does not need money and a budget. It's just about, I think, paying attention to people's needs and acknowledging them, respecting them, creating a way to appreciate them. I think that creates fun. That positive support, that appreciation will create fun. That shouldn't cost money, and you should definitely have time for that. And no matter how serious your business is, you should be able to appreciate people because that will create fun. Again, when someone gets a note of appreciation or a call out in front of the whole team, boy, that sounds like a fun day to me, right? That sounds pretty fun. So fun means different things, and we need to focus on what it means for our team because in the end, what's our goals? To be successful, to be the best at what we do, to take care of the customer, to build our business, and all those things are going to happen if our team is enjoying the process, if they're having fun with their team and with what's happening at work, and that's going to just create a passion, and that passion will fuel and will also overcome challenges and obstacles that are going to happen.
Well, and I can a few things you had said there triggered thoughts. Is first is a lot of leaders will struggle with the definition of what is fun, and they think, well, I'm not a funny person, so
Right.
like I don't want to be. They think of them standing in front of the team doing stand up, and
Yeah.
instead of just bringing joy to their team and creating an environment where that can happen. You also mentioned that like calling. Well, first it is understanding what everyone what's fun for different people,
Sure.
because calling someone out in front of their group might be really fun for someone else, and other people will shy away from that. Because I actually have that on an employee questionnaire when I hire people. How do you like your recognition? Do you
Mhm.
like it publicly, privately, in written form, verbally, things like that? And you get all kinds of different responses.
Sure.
People are like, please don't call me out in front of the group because I will crawl in a hole if that happens. and,
Right.
and other people are like, oh, I love that. Put it in the newspaper, like send an email blast to your whole list and let them know that's what is exciting for them. So, as leaders, to really understand the nuances of your team and then be able to create that environment.
Right. And I think it's also sometimes a little trial and error
Yeah.
and not being afraid to take a risk. And then again, that's another choice that improv teaches us.
Yes.
And what's really great is when I during my keynote, so I'll bring audience volunteers to the stage. We'll play an improv game. And you could see them, they might be a little tentative, they might be a little unsure, they might not have the confidence yet. But as soon as they receive some positive support, as soon as I create opportunity for them to be creative, opportunity for them to be a leader, opportunity to be a great teammate, all of a sudden their body language changes, their confidence builds. And the more they do, what happens? The audience laughs and applauds, right? And then they're going to do more, and then the audience laughs and applauds. So it just creates this cycle of energy. And if they take more risks, or they produce more, or they're creative, the audience will react and give them more positive support, which gives the performer more confidence, and then they want to do more. And all that was created by, I gave them opportunity and positive support. The audience also gave them positive support. And when you put those two things together, it's amazing what happens, how much fun they have, how they work together as a team, how they are focused and present and in the moment, how they listen to their team, how they support each other. That's really awesome to see, right? How they build on each other's ideas, how they embrace the change and are open and flexible. All these things are happening in this improv game. And it's really exciting to see, by just creating this foundation of fun, this foundation of opportunity and positive support. And you see immediately the result. And that's why I use these improv games to talk about these choices, because these are choices that we have to make as a team, as leaders, for success, and to really motivate our team, to energize our team, to inspire our team.
I like how you brought up the history before of what improv was. It's a teaching tool, and with
Yes.
everything that's going on in society today, with the and work, the uncertainty and the rapid pace of change, a lot of companies are just almost digging in their heels. They're so overwhelmed by all this change that's going on. Whereas improv teaches that ability to just embrace the uncertainty and to have the confidence in yourself to adapt and deal with it. So
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And it's not just embracing the change. It's understanding that you do not control change. You only control how you react to the change. So I don't control what somebody says on stage. I only control how I react to it. And if you take it to the world of work right now, I don't control the economy, the market. I don't control what's happening. I can only control how I react to it. So what choices am I going to make to be successful in this environment? What choices am I going to make to take care of my customers? What choices am I going to make sure that I'm positive and energized so that I can be at my best? So it's how I react to change. I can choose to be stressed and frustrated and impatient, or I can choose to be positive and understanding and supportive and helpful. One is going to be a way better day than the other. I'm still dealing with the same change, but it's my choice in how I react to it. And improv, not just as how we react to change and we embrace change, but we have to be prepared for change. And what that does, it sets the tone, it sets the energy, it sets the approach. When I bring audience volunteers, or I ask for audience volunteers, they raise their hand, they come to the stage. They've made a choice to be prepared for change. They have no idea what game I'm going to play, what their role is going to be, what the responsibility, have no idea. They only know they're going to play a game. So what did they, in their minds, they've said, okay, I'm prepared. I don't know what Joel's going to ask me to do, but I'm prepared for it. And what that really does, and it's really exciting, is it sets their tone, right? It sets their approach.
Mhm.
It sets their attitude. I'm prepared. So they're not frustrated. They're not impatient. They're not negative. And so that gives them the foundation to be successful, just by choosing to be prepared for change. And that's a very important choice that we all should, I think about, is that we have to prepare ourselves for change. And when change happens, then it doesn't catch us off guard. We're not frustrated. We're not impatient. And we're going to be at our best because we're prepared for it.
Well, you mentioned about stress. I imagine doing some of these improv situations with teams. It's a pretty stressful situation because not people aren't used to being up there. So, how do you see the communication among teams play out and improve? I guess over time, when these employees or teams are put in stressful, uncertain situations.
I think it's understanding that you have the support of everyone, right? And I think that's really important. When I first start, we do a couple things that get the whole audience involved. We talk about celebrating each other, being supportive of each other. We take a risk together. I get the whole audience. They put their hands up on their temples. For those listening, it's like bunny ears, and get the whole audience to do it. Okay. And so, sure, there's early adopters. People just immediately put their hands to their, I'm like, yeah, he told us to put our hands on our forehead. Let's do it. And then there's a few that are tentative. And all of a sudden, they start building that confidence. And you see that support, that everyone is supporting each other. And that reduces the stress because you have the support of your teammate. And I think that's really important. And in improv, when we're playing a game, you have the support of everybody in the audience because of what we just did, the bunny and the celebration, and then the laughter and applause. It builds their confidence and reduces their stress. I mean, you could see it physically in their body language, right?
Mhm.
Like when they come up to stage, even though they volunteered, sometimes they're a little unsure, they might be tentative, and so you can see in their eyes, they're wondering what's going to happen. And then as soon as they start and they're focused on the game. That's another point, that improv forces them to be in the moment. That's when you're at your best. So in the moment means you can only think about the game, the objective, and your team. It's a very special place. You're at your best. And when I ask audience members after the game, what were you thinking about during the game? Were you thinking about what the audience was reacting, or were you thinking about your emails or your voicemail or the work or your to-do list? Like, no, the only thing I was thinking about was the game, the objectives, the team, because they were present, they were in the moment. That's when we're at our best as leaders and teammates. Improv forces us to be present and in the moment. And so we need to spend more time there, and we need to make that choice. But what that does is that focus, and all of a sudden now all you're getting is the positive support of your team or the audience. What happens? Our stress is just completely reduced and our confidence just starts building up because of that positive support and because we're very focused and present and in the moment.
And so, how do you, I guess, what are some of the behaviors that leaders take away that they bring into the workplace that can help with that support and team cohesion and the communication?
I think it's asking a question. And people always ask, after they see an improv show, like, how does that work? There's no script, there's no rehearsal, there's no plan. How did it just come up and you guys were creative and it looked like you had rehearsed it? And there's a secret there. And one of the secrets is it's not about me trying to be a star or me trying to be the funniest. I'm thinking about the team. I'm only thinking about the team, the other performers. How do I help them be successful? That's the question we have to ask. Very easy, and it's very easy to answer. There's nobody listening to this podcast that doesn't know what the people around them need to be successful. Their customers, their team, their partners, their vendors, they know what everybody needs to be successful. The hard part is to act on it, to ask that question, answer it, and act on it. So you want to talk about what leaders can do to create that environment. I think it's as simple as asking that question, answering it, and acting on it. What do the people around me need to be successful? What do I have to provide? That's one. And I think two is, as a leader, asking their team, what opportunity they need that's going to fulfill them and going to make them happy. Now, it's not more money. We all want more money. That's a given. And that happiness only lasts to the next paycheck, and you're right back where you started. What is that opportunity? Is it a different role, a different responsibility? Do you want more training? Do you want a mentor? Do you have a creative idea that you want to enact? What is that opportunity? And I think when leaders ask their team that question, they're going to be surprised by the answer. And they're also going to be surprised how easy it is for them to give them that opportunity. They're like, that's what you need to be happy and fulfilled. I can do that. What am I going to get back in return? I'm going to get a very passionate, energized team member that's going to help me reach my goals. Makes a lot of sense. And I
Absolutely.
think if we just one ask the question, what's the opportunity that you need to be fulfilled and happy? And and then two, ask the question, how do I help the people around me be successful? Answer it and act on it. And I think you're going to find the answer to both is pretty close.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And a lot of leaders are just so caught up in the day to day that they just don't ask the question and then they don't take action on it.
And they're going to be surprised how easy it is to give that opportunity. And everything they get back in return is going to be a passionate, energized team member. And here's the thing, if they don't ask that question, what's going to happen? That team member is not going to be very happy. And eventually they're going to figure out, I'm not happy here and I'm going to go work someplace else. I don't care what the economy is like. I've been doing this since the late 90s. I've been through several recessions, downturns, and people are always still hiring. People are always still looking for passionate, energized team members. There might be fewer opportunities, but there are opportunities there. And people are going to leave. And now you're stuck and you're like, well, now I gotta find somebody to replace that person. I gotta train them, get them up to speed. All the while, that's using my resources, right? Why not create opportunity for your team member that's already there? Why not ask them what they need to be happy and fulfilled? Why not give them what they need to be successful?
So you've got the title of your new book is called Make the Right Choice. What does it mean to make the right choice?
So improv is all about choices, right? Remember, there's no script, there's no rehearsal. It's all about choices. And so we're trying to find the best choice. Some choices aren't going to work and some choices are going to work. We're looking for the best choice. There can't be a wrong choice because it's improv. There's no script, there's no rehearsal. How can there be a wrong choice if there was never a plan? There's some choices that are better than others. So what we're always looking for in improv is making the right choice, the best choice for our team, for the audience. And so when I'm talking about these messages, it's really about choices. The choice to lead with passion, to elevate your team, to unleash the fun of work. That's the subhead of the book. See how I subtly put that in there. Um, but it's the choice to create opportunity and positive support. The choice to be present in the moment. We talked about that. The choice to embrace change and be prepared for change. The choice to ask the question, how do I help the people around me be successful? And so the book covers all of these choices in each chapter. They're very self-contained about teamwork and leadership and communication and creating a great work culture. And I try to put ideas that I've seen through speaking with 2,500 different companies and organizations and ideas, appreciation ideas, or ideas to create a better team. And so I wanted to make the book very fun and engaging. I didn't want it to be a textbook. I want it to. I hope leaders and team members, when they read the book, they giggle a little bit, and I tell some funny stories about situations that I had encountered with different companies and just the humor that sometimes finds its way into certain work situations, like conference calls, like scheduling a conference call.
Well, and yeah, hopefully people will have the sense of humor to take the stories and the gems of wisdom from that. And I want to go back to something we chatted a bit about at the beginning, because not that it takes us full circle, but it's something that I know is a pain point for a lot of people, or a resistance point, is
Sure.
the how do I balance the professionalism, productivity with um, I don't want to. They don't want to undermine that professionalism in the workplace. So if I'm adding fun, it's going to be seen as this, like, we're either we're not serious or we're wasting time. How do you,
That's a good myth. Wasting time.
yeah,
That's a good myth.
how do
Yep.
you tie it back into that, the productivity, the well-being, the creativity, and keep reminding leaders that, hey, there's a point and a purpose and a value to this.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to figure out when their team starts walking and going across the street to a competitor or another company, because especially as the younger generations come into the workforce, there's a big difference. They're focused a lot on happiness and wellness and fun, and if they're not receiving it, they're gone.
Yeah.
I've my daughter's about to graduate college and go into the workforce, and she's had internships, and but talking to her friends, they're very focused on happiness and fun
Yeah.
at work, and if you don't provide that, see ya.
Yeah.
And I have no problem. There's no rules about I got to work someplace for a year on my resume anymore, or it's going to look like I move around. No, there's no rules
Yeah.
anymore. They're they care about themselves and they care about their happiness. And I think as leaders, we have to focus on that. And fun is, again, I think an integral part of that success. And when our employees are happy, when they're energized and inspired, the result is going to be success. And it's not about I got to do a comedy show every day. That's not what I'm talking about. It's about what creates that fun. What creates that fun? Let's think about math class in high school. I was terrible at math. I bet Tim, I bet you were really good at math.
No.
You kind of have that. No,
No.
you, I was terrible. I don't even know how I got through college. Or actually, I do know how I got through college. I didn't have to take math. Somehow I tested out. And I don't know how I tested out. And so in high school, there was always that student next to you that when they solved a algebra or geometry problem, they were excited. You remember that? They're just like, or in chemistry class, they solved the formula or whatever. And that's not fun for me.
Mhm.
It's fun for them. What were they doing comedy when they were solving that math problem? Were they did they have a funny hat? No. That's their fun. And so what is your fun? What is your what's going to just excite you and energize you? And as leaders, we have to create that fun. And it can be as simple as positive support. It can be as simple as creating opportunity and asking the question how we help each other be successful. But it can also be, taking the team out for donuts or pizza or bringing in coffee. I don't know.
I love it.
There's
You had to
a
bring the
lot of
donuts
different.
back in. It's good.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we brought the donuts back in.
Well, I
Yeah,
love that you said, not the donuts, but I love that you said about the, for some people that's fun, and brought up the math, because I I just despised math for so long in school. But then
I'm with you.
in grade 12, I took physics, and the teach like physics is applied math basically. and
Sure, sure.
and I was like really worried about it, and the teacher, it was the most fun class I've ever had, because the teacher made it about stories, and he put context behind the math, and here's
Yeah,
the problem we're solving, and he engaged the whole class in these group projects where we had to, there was a news story at the time of someone, skydiver whose parachute didn't open, and they landed in a bog and survived. And he's like, okay, so let's figure out how this happened. And so we broke into teams to break down the math of the force dissipation and everything. And I remember having so much fun. I actually went home and was working on the problems, nodding, and I was like, this is so amazing. And I got
yeah,
an A+ in that class that year, and I never
yeah.
got more than like a C+ in math.
Right.
And it was because the teacher had engaged me in a new dialogue, a new context. And leaders have that opportunity to do that and get so much more out of their team, and also provide so much more for their team from an experience
Right.
standpoint.
Yeah. I love that story. I kind of got goosebumps. That was just, I love that story. We all remember that great teacher that we had, right? And what did they do to energize us and engage us in a topic that we weren't maybe interested in? And I think we can learn quite a bit. And just from your just telling that brief story, uh, one, the teacher gave you uh, opportunity and accountability. You had to. He told the story, and then you took on that accountability and that ownership. He gave you that ownership of let's figure it out, and excited you about it. And what happened? You started to care about it because you have ownership and you were excited about it, and that led to the passion for the subject. And I think we can learn a lot from that. There was no comedy show, there was no juggling, there was no I do like juggling though. I do. I love it. I love a great juggler. I can't juggle myself, but I have friends. I have a lot of friends that are jugglers. Um, but what what embrace that opportunity and embrace that engagement. And I think it's also, you know, speaking at a level of connection, right? The teacher was connecting to the class on a different level.
Mhm.
He was figuring out, okay, I've got to take physics and bring it to a real story. It can't just be just equations on a chalkboard. It has to be a real story. And so he found a way to connect with you. And leaders have to connect with their team. Find a way to make that connection. What is that connection? And there's, I think, a lot of different ways to do it. And it's just taking the time and the focus and making that connection with your team and creating that ownership and responsibility, and they're going to care. And fun is part of all of that. What does that fun mean? What is the definition? What is it going to be for your team, in your industry, at your office? And it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're frontline or leadership or um, manufacturing, or you're distributing, or you're selling, or you're building. I think the answer is going to be the same.
When something that is becoming pretty clear in the examples that you're using is that it's more of a continuum. And so fun means lots of different things at lots of different times. As you said, it's not like you're coming in and doing a stand up routine every day.
No.
Sometimes you may go to a comedy club, or you may have something like
Sure.
that.
Why
It's
not?
like a peak moment of fun, or you
Yeah.
have a celebration about something. But how is fun being worked into the day to day, and fun from the global standpoint of working towards something of value that you have autonomous control over? The even going to the Gallup Q12 questions is: do you have a friend in the workplace? Do you um, feel what you do contributes to the organization, and that you're recognized for your contribution? All of that is fun. And when we talk about sports, winning's pretty damn fun too. And so
Yeah.
when you can celebrate milestones on projects and with teams, and celebrate even small wins, that starts to become fun.
And it's a mutual respect. It's about creating an environment that we respect each other. I think that adds to the fun, right? I think that's an element of it. I think it's creating opportunity for each other. It's creating ways to appreciate each other. I think back. We talk about math class. I think back to one of my first jobs, which was at a movie theater, making below minimum wage. And there's nothing fun about cleaning up people's trash, right, in a movie theater,
Mhm.
or smelling like popcorn for 20 when you're cleaning the popcorn machine, you'd smell like popcorn. And but I look back, I had more fun at that job maybe than any job that I ever had. And if you really think about why was it fun, it was about an attitude. It was it was my choice, and my choice is important. I don't. I have to clean up trash. I have to clean the popcorn machine, but I'm choosing to have fun while I do it. I'm choosing to enjoy the people I work with and what I'm doing and making it fun with my attitude and my approach. And that makes a big difference. Uh, and to this day, by the way, I always take my trash when I go to a movie or a sporting event. I never leave my trash under the seat. I'm always, my kids have thought I'm nuts for years. I'm just carrying out all this trash to throw it away because once you pick up other people's trash, you don't leave trash behind.
Yeah.
And so, but I always look back about how much fun that job was, and I was making no money. I don't know how they paid me below minimum wage, but I don't know how that all worked out. But it was a choice, and we have to choose. It's our choice. And if we choose to have fun, what we do and have a great attitude and be supportive and positive and helpful and understanding, that's going to go a long way toward other choices, creating that fun around the team and making choices for everybody. That's going to create that environment where we're passionate about what we do, and that will always lead to success.
Yeah. And leaders that give that permission and provide the environment, because it's up to the individual to
Yeah.
stand in their own shoes and make their own experience, but that's a lot harder when the leader is not supportive, and they can put that flame out pretty quickly, whereas
Yeah.
when the leaders are the oxygen that helps stoke that flame, makes a tremendous difference.
Yeah. And one of the things I remembered from that job at the movie theater is is our managers always like, you know, there was always opportunity. Like, yeah, you're hired to do concessions, but do you want to learn how to do the box office? Do you want to learn how to uh, do the film in the projection? And so it was always constantly giving more opportunity, constantly giving more um, opportunity to try different things, and that always, I think, invigorates people and energizes people. And so I actually need to think about why some more about. I wrote a little bit about it in my book, but there was just so many elements, I think, that made, I think back and make that job fun. And when you're happy, for anybody listening, you say, oh man, that was a great day. I came home from work and your husband or your wife or your friend or your partner said, how was your day? And you said, oh, that day was incredible. I had the best day. Take a moment and write down what made that day awesome. What was happening? What did people say to you? What did you do? I mean, really think about it and make a list. And now you've got a blueprint, you've got a roadmap to what you need to have a happy day at work, what you need. And if things are on that list, some of those are choices that you made, make those choices again. If some of those choices are what your manager said or did, then tell that manager, hey, this really energized me. I really had a great day. That's a big part of what I need to be happy.
Perfect. And those are great lead-ins to my next question. Is that a lot of companies, a lot of leaders. I've yet to meet a company that says they don't care about their people. Yet leaders in companies often fail to deliver on the day-to-day experience. So other than the two you mentioned, the writing down for you what was a great day, and then sharing with your leader, what other tangible actions can leaders take to create that environment or culture of fun, enjoyment, and all the benefits that come with that?
I think it's communication. I think it comes down to communication, uh, one-on-one communication, group communication, taking time to discuss it. What do you need to be happy? and I think we talked about it earlier, but I think that would be my number one is meeting with the team and asking what do they need to be fulfilled and happy, and they're going to be surprised by the answer. And when you go through your team and you get everybody's answer, you got a pretty good blueprint of what you need to do. And then ask for ideas, and set aside some time, I think, right? Make time for appreciation. I talk about the book. Um, One of my clients, uh, before every team meeting, big meeting, they have what's called tip of the hat. And so they take the first 5 minutes of whatever meeting, and it's a tip of the hat, and anybody can talk about and give a tip of the hat to anybody on their team. And it's basically just giving them a positive mention, saying, hey, I appreciate you for doing this, or I noticed that you did this, and that really energized me, or that really supported me. And that tip of the hat is so easy. Takes no time, takes 5 minutes, no budget, pretty easy, right? Another really great idea that I mentioned in the book, and I saw this once, is using video to capture what people think. And you know and so they went around and they asked their team members what inspires them, or who inspires them, and in their, whether it's a leader or another team member, and they just did it on their phone, and they sent it around, and it just created this really great energy and respect. And it's little ideas like this really don't take any budget, barely take any time. It's just making time for it, and the benefits are just going to be huge. And I have a lot of ideas in my book, a lot of ideas that I've seen other clients do, um, and it's you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just can Google fun things to do at work or ideas, and there's a million different places to get these ideas and to incorporate them. It's just making the choice and taking the time to put this as part of the plan, to have fun, to energize their team, to incorporate this as part of the day, or part of the overall focus.
Awesome. Well, and yeah, there's so many ideas, and you can just almost get lost in them. If you had to say, well, okay, what's the one starting point? Where, what's your one piece of advice for leaders saying, okay, I want to show up as more fun?
Number one, absolutely, buy my book.
Of course.
And number two would be buy my book for everybody you know.
Okay. Awesome. I will make sure the link goes in the show notes.
Yeah, I think, in honesty, I think we talked about a lot of. I would say the number one is say, I'm going to dedicate some time to this. I'm going to think about it. This is going to be on my to-do list.
Yeah.
And then, put that effort and time into talking with their team, asking them what makes them happy and fulfilled. And then start. Now you got a pretty good list. As a leader, you got a pretty good list of things to do. And then think about ideas to incorporate the team to create fun, and just take 5 minutes and go, bring coffee for everybody. um, you know have a coffee run, have a donut run, bring in an outside speaker, do a webinar, um, have a goal for an end of quarter, reach a certain goal and an end of quarter event. It there's a lot of ideas, and they're out there, and it's just, I think, dedicating and putting a little time toward it.
Yeah. Turning that intention into action. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for leaders too, one of the things that I often end up talking to coaching clients about is that a lot of leaders enter from subject matter expertise. They're good at doing the work, and then they get into a leadership role and they forget that their job is not to do the work anymore. It's to help their team grow and do the work. And that seems a minor nuance, but it's a massive seismic shift in their
Yeah,
ability. They need to be there and show up for their team instead of trying
right.
to do the work. And they still have to probably do some work on that, but their main goal is to grow an amazing team.
And and that's really the question we talked about earlier. How do I help the people around me be successful? How do I help my team be successful? It's not about how can my team make me successful. That's not great leadership or great teamwork. Now, some people will try to sell it. Believe me, there's leaders that say, "What can all of you do to help me be successful?" That's not great leadership. That's a scam,
Yeah.
right? Great leadership is how do I help you find success? What do I need to do to provide that foundation? Ask that question, answer it, and act on it. And that's exactly, I think, the focus for great leadership.
I've often said the great leader is like a sports team that they lift their coach up on their shoulders at the end of the game when they win. Whereas a lot of leaders think of it as I'm going to climb up and stand on my players and stand there like this. It's like
Yeah,
very different.
very different. Yeah, I think it's exactly right. There's a lot of analogies between I think sports and improv, because they're both such a team environment and team sport about supporting each other and building on each other's ideas and building on each other, and making sure that I care about the person right next to me and this person cares about the person right next to them and that we're all pulling the same way. We use different words, but we're all focused on the same thing, which is success.
Yeah. Well, and improv, when it's done well, is just spectacular to watch
Yeah.
and
And
participate in. I've done a couple, and it's challenging
yeah,
and exciting.
it's something I think I tell people all the time. It's in there. I don't care who you are. I know you can do it. It's just maybe taking away some of the barriers, right? Fear of making a mistake, fear of failure, fear of messing up, which are legitimate fears, but I think sometimes freezes us in not just in improv, but freezes us in the workplace as well. When we're talking about being a great communicator as a leader, I think sometimes the fear of failure, fear of making a mistake will freeze us and prevent us from being a great communicator. And I think we have to improv can be, if you really embrace that freedom, embrace that, there is no script, there's no rehearsal, and you take away some of those fears, and you embrace that freedom. That's, I think, where that success comes. And I think that's a really important point for leaders is to embrace that, and it'll give us a freedom, and that freedom builds confidence, and that confidence is going to lead to really great leadership.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because yeah, as a leader, if you create the safe space where people are psychologically safe to use that term, open up and put themselves out there without fear of failing or retribution or being judged, that's powerful.
Really, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Joel, we could talk for a lot longer. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights. I will definitely make sure your book link goes in the show notes.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I just had an absolute fantastic time, and I tell people all the time, I know how hard it is to put together a podcast, which is why I don't have a podcast, because I know how much work it takes to do a podcast. And so I give you all the accolades and respect for putting this out there in the world, and hopefully inspires people and motivates people and energizes people. So thank you for creating this uh, channel for people to be inspired. And it's a very important message. So thank you. And thank you for the opportunity. And I hope everybody goes out and gets the book on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, or come visit me on my website, which is just my name, joelzeff.com.
Yeah, buy it directly from you, right?
No, get it Barnes& and Noble, Amazon. I don't sell the book.
Okay.
So, yeah, go to wherever you buy books or other bookstores or wherever you purchase a book.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Joel. We'll chat again soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That wraps up another episode of the Working Well podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Now, which guests or topics would you like to see featured on the show? Message me through LinkedIn or on the contact page of timborys.com with your ideas. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tim Borys with Fresh Wellness Group, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.